Hey, what's up, guys? Jeff Kamke here with Wealth Energetics. In today's video, I want to go over the wealth roadmap. And if you've watched my other video that I posted about the hierarchy of wealth consciousness, it gives kind of a basic framework about where do you start with finances and how do you go through a systematic build, basically, of getting yourself to the places you want to be around abundance and wealth creation. And in this video, we're going to go into more of a step-by-step of some more specifics. It's going to be zooming in a little bit, getting more specific and detailed about some of the specific steps you're going to take to get yourself where you want to go. So that hierarchy is more big picture. This is a little bit more dialed in, and the specific action steps you can begin taking. And these are action steps, not just you do with money, like cut up your credit cards and go earn more money, work a second job. This is the mental, emotional, and energetic work. This is the planning. This is the way that you begin to put together a strategy, thinking first and then action next. And so this is going to build on itself. This is going to be a recipe that you can duplicate and start putting these things into practice in your life right away. Let's get going with it. So I'm going to do a share screen here. Let's bring up this roadmap and let's talk about exactly what we're going to get into here today. So this is the wealth roadmap. So the very first stop on our roadmap, think of this as a way to plug in a destination from where you're at in your GPS to where you want to go. And our destination is ultimately financial independence, where we have money working for our benefit so that we're not always having to work for money. The money that we've already made is beginning to work more and more for us. So how do we get there? Well, let's start breaking it down. So step number one is you have to know the score. This is beyond budgeting, right? Budgeting is just tracking where you're going, and that's a good thing. But a lot of us like to break free of the consciousness around budgeting. Budgeting usually is synonymous with middle class. It's usually about scrimping and cutting back and sacrificing. And while those are good, solid things that you may need to do for a short period of time, it is not a long-term, lifelong way to live, right? We are expansive beings. We have goals. We have visions. We want to expand who we are. We want to evolve as a person, evolve in our relationships, evolve in our health, evolve with our money, evolve spiritually, evolve as parents, evolve as business owners, right? We want to do all this evolution. So we can't stay in this constriction mode. We need to be in expansive mode. So the first step is knowing the score. We have to know where we're at, right? We can't plug in a GPS, a destination, and expect to get there if we don't know our starting point. So knowing the score is knowing the score, taking a pulse of where you're at financially, seeing how good it is, seeing how bad it is. Maybe it's neither one of those extremes. Maybe it's just understanding with more clarity, where's your money going? What is my debt situation? What assets and liabilities? And sometimes, we get caught up in life and we don't realize exactly where we're at. I'm guilty of this, as probably many of you are. So we need to sometimes just come back, analyze where we're at, figure out where we're at, write down our debts, figure out what our expenses are, see where we can trim the fat. We'll talk about this here in a few steps, but just knowing where you're at, that's really step one. And then once you know where you're at, then we can move on to step two, which is establishing your goals. So once we know where we're at, goals can start to come into place and they can come into our vision. So once we know where we're at and we know generally where we want to go, and maybe we don't know fully where we want to go, maybe we have a general idea, and maybe we need to work more on the goal piece. And we'll be going into more in-depth training on all 6 of these roadmaps. I'll be breaking these down in more specifics and more details, but let me just give you a high level for this video. So you need to know with more clarity maybe than where you're already at, and really ask yourself some questions and dig deep into what is it that I want and why do I want these things around our income. How much do you want to be making a year? Are you content where you're at? Do you want more? If you want more and you want to make $150,000 a year, and maybe you're shorting yourself on that, maybe you're capable of $250,000 a year, with your skill set, your knowledge, maybe you're just selling yourself short. So, create goals that are where you want to go. And, there's a whole science to goal setting, and it has to be somewhat congruent with your beliefs. And we'll go into that in other videos, like I mentioned, but just thinking it through. Where do you want your cash flow to be? How much do you want coming through your hands every single month? Is it $10,000 a month? Is it $25,000 a month? How much do you want coming in? And that's something that we're starting to put the peg on the map, right? Of this is where we know we're at. This is where we want to start having our destination at. How much do you want put away? How much do you want in an emergency fund? Do you want 6 months of bills? You want 2 years of your bills saved away? What about your investments? How much do you want to be growing your money, right? Maybe these are things you've really never sat down and thought through. And if you don't do this, this is going to just really hinder a lot of your forward progress. The more clarity you have mentally, subconsciously, energetically around, I know exactly what I want. And when you can get to a level of knowingness about this is exactly what I want, I can feel it, it's aligned with who I am, where I'm going, you begin to create it. Because when it's at the level where you know it, it is actually becomes a part of your energetic field. And when it's a part of your energetic field, it begins to be something that you are vibrating 24/7. And vibrating means it's something that your energy field is vibrating, and it's attracting in like frequencies. So when you know down to the penny how much you want, you begin to be that. And when you be something, it begins to show up in your experience. That's just the laws of the world, right? The laws of the universe. So I would encourage you to spend more time on this. Don't gloss over steps 1 and 2 thinking, I don't need to do that, I'm beyond that. No. This is where the rubber meets the road. These are the basics that if you want to be a master, you need to master the basics. And if you don't know where you're at and you don't know where you want to go, the rest of this stuff is probably not going to work for you long term, or you're not going to have sustained results with it. You're going to fail. You're going to get in your own way. Be a lot of things that aren't going to happen the way that you would like them to. So I would encourage you, really think through your purpose work. What do you want your enjoyment to be? What do you want your retirement to look like? Do you know how much money you're going to need in retirement? Do you know that factored in with inflation? Do you know what that number is factored in with taxes coming out of it? Do you have any idea about that? If you have kids or grandkids or a certain charity that you love, do you know what your legacy is going to look like? Have you thought about what you want to leave behind? My dad passed away 2 weeks ago at 66 years old. And, I don't think he thought that through very well. He thought he was going to be around for a lot longer. And gosh darn it, we never know when our time is going to come. And we need to be thinking forward on these things so that we are setting up the next generation for abundance and wealth. So that's step 2 on our roadmap. Let's jump to step 3. And this is really where we start to look more at, once we knew the score, if you have debt that you need to take into consideration, we need to look at how do we optimize debt. And this isn't just cutting up credit cards and stop going to Starbucks. This is getting into, part of it is the energetic and emotional side of it, of why do we have debt? Have we had emotional spending? Have we had, traumas in our life, divorces, job losses, health concerns, these types of things that have put us into a situation of debt? Is it just, more of a gambling mindset? Have we made some bad money decisions? We thought we were going to get into an investment and we leveraged our house, those kind of things. How did we get to debt? And we have to get to the bottom of why debt is in your life for it to be something that's gone. Cutting up credit cards, putting your credit cards in an ice block in your freezer is just masking symptoms. It's like unplugging the dash light that's for your check engine light and thinking you don't have a problem with your car, right? You can't just mask symptoms. You have to get to the root of it. And there is an energetic frequency at the root underneath why you have debt. It's a certain belief. It's a certain pattern. It's a certain program. Maybe you're running somebody else's programs around money, what the government wants you to think about money, what society wants you to think about money, what the church wants you to think about money, what your parents wanted you to think about money. Maybe it's your own conclusions about money. There's a reason, and you got to get to that. So once you know where you're at with debt, what do we do? What steps can we take to optimize it? Well, there's a lot of great strategies that we can help you with, putting your debts in order, understanding which debts do you start with first. It's going to make the biggest impact. And no, Dave Ramsey, it's not always the smallest balance first. Sometimes it's something called the cash flow index, which comes from Garrett Gunderson, where you're looking at, of the bills you have, what is going to eat up the most cash flow? Because for most of us, if we can free up cash flow is the lifeblood of our finances. So if we can have more cash flow, then we can begin to get ourselves out of debt. And a lot of times the cash flow index is going to reflect the highest interest rate, like cards that we have or accounts that we have. But that's not always the case. Sometimes we have very inefficient loans, meaning that there's a very large monthly payment in proportion to the balance, right? So the smaller that is, the more efficient the loan is. And you find a lot of times the mortgages are a very efficient loan. And that's why we don't really recommend a lot of times starting with that. Usually there's other things that need to be done first. And it's a way to get out of debt the fastest. And there's some strategies where we can employ other financial instruments that can really get you out of debt even faster, collapse the time around that. Those are things we can discuss on a one-on-one basis. So that's debt optimization. And so step 4 is really the efficiency. So efficiency is still part of the analysis process, right? We've been doing some analysis around where we're at. We've done some analysis around our goals. We've looked at debt. We've maybe created a plan and roadmap there specifically around debt. And now efficiency is kind of where we start to go from analysis into implementation. So we have to look at where we're at around money and taking some of the things from know the score and maybe from our debt optimization and looking at efficiency and how do we free up more money. The cash flow that's coming through our hands right now in our personal life or in our business or both, where are we what Garrett Gunderson calls leaking money? So there's holes in your finances, right? You're leaking money to maybe it's those recurring monthly payments that you have that you're not utilizing those, and it's draining $15 a month here and $49 a month here, $97 a month here, right? Those are some obvious things that, you know, Dave Ramsey would tell you to stop going to Starbucks and stop eating out. But let's look a little bit deeper than that, because I don't hear Dave going too much deeper than that. These are some of the things that Garrett Gunderson teaches around some of the areas that we leak money. So we have interest costs. So this is the interest that we're being charged on things like our credit cards or anything that we're in debt for. It could be interest that we're paying kind of in a subtle way. Maybe it's on our insurance premiums that we're paying monthly, and that we have an extra surcharge every month for the handling of that. Maybe it's a $10, $15, $20 extra charge that the insurance company charges us per month. Well, if you calculate that as an interest cost, sometimes that can be a 5 or 10% interest cost just by making your monthly premiums instead of paying maybe semi-annual or annually on your insurance premium. That can sometimes save you $100 or $200, $300 a year on your insurance premiums. You're getting the same coverage, you're just paying more for it over, you know, making 12 monthly payments on it. So interest costs, if we can lower those, that's money in our pocket, right? And it goes back to the adage, a penny saved is a penny earned. If I can stop paying 29% interest on a credit card, that's as good as if I earn 29%. Now, where are you going to go right now that you're going to earn 29% on your money? You know, we do know of a few places, but that's not something that just everybody's going to go do all day, every day. So that's an important aspect to do that. Look on how you can save on insurance. So this is maybe shopping around, getting lower premiums by different carriers. Maybe this is looking at the structure of all your insurances, and can you maybe put an umbrella policy in place to cover some things and lower other coverages that you're not needing, or maybe there's things like duplicate coverages. So again, we'll go into more of that in other videos. I'll probably have some people on my podcast that'll be insurance experts that will go into some of that. There's things like hidden fees. This is a lot of times with if you have brokerage accounts or your money's being managed by a financial advisor, there's a lot of times fees associated with that that aren't really easy to figure out, but they're there and they're having an erosion effect on your money, right? And how much money you can grow your money. You also, things that can be efficiency wise is boosting your credit score. A lot of times we don't think about our credit score impacting other things like our insurance premiums. If we have lower interest, or excuse me, lower credit score, we could be paying more in insurance costs. And obviously, if we have a low credit score, we go to get a loan, we're going to be paying more in interest. This goes back to the very first bullet point, paying more in interest. So doing things that we can do to raise our credit score is going to help free up money, save money from leaking, and just put more money back into your budget to be able to pay down debt maybe, and then eventually put to work towards investments and things that are going to grow your wealth and scale your wealth. The last couple here in efficiency is what are you doing to track your money? Bookkeeping and accounting. If you have a business, do you know what's going on in your business? Do you know where your money is going? Are you tracking all that stuff? Are you being up on taxes? Do you have a tax plan? Are you meeting with a tax preparer maybe monthly or quarterly so that you know where you're on track in your taxation, and being able to do strategic things within the taxation calendar year to do some things to minimize the taxes that you're going to pay? Because sometimes we overpay in taxes because we're not on top of things, right? We're being reactive in the next, like right now, time of this recording is end of February of 2024. And, you know, maybe you're looking at 2023's taxes and going, gosh, darn it, I didn't realize I was in this situation. I'm going to have to pay way more than I wanted to. Well, if you would have looked at that last year and had a tax preparer that was, you know, doing more strategic tax planning with you, you could have avoided some of those things within the year of 2023, made some purchases or done some strategic things to keep your taxes as low as possible. So those are some of the action steps around efficiency. Some of it's analysis, right? You got to figure out some of the stuff. And other things are actually implementation, making some phone calls, checking how can I save some money on my insurance, maybe sitting down with some agents, maybe talking to your accountant or your tax per person and being able to do some things there. So the fifth stop on our wealth roadmap is building a foundation. So this is really where it gets to be the implementation. And so the very first step is the Dave Ramsey step, the emergency fund. Yes, we actually do agree with Dave on that one. It's very important to have an emergency fund and build up so that we have enough money set aside so that when something goes awry, we can pay for it and we don't have to go take out debt, credit cards to pay for it, right? And usually when we do that, if we're in that kind of situation, a lot of times our credit score might not be very good. That means we're going to be paying higher interest rate, and it's going to keep the debt cycle going, right? Where we're not getting out of that, we're paying debts. So if we have money set aside, we can, buy that water heater, put the new roof on the car, need new shocks on the van, whatever it is, you've got the money there to do that. The next thing in building the foundation is making sure you have enough insurance protections. Most of us have car insurance and probably, hopefully, home insurance. But if you have a business, are all the things in your business properly insured? Is your life properly insured? Are your family members' lives properly insured? And this isn't just about burial coverage. This is about using life insurance more in an expansive way and as a lifelong instrument to be able to handle a lot of things in a lifetime and actually amplify what you're doing in a lot of areas of your life, along with the protection for you and your family members in the case of an untimely death. And there's a lot of benefits there around insurance with life insurance that give you opportunities to access your death benefit earlier for chronic or terminal illnesses, that give you the opportunity to maybe go seek alternative health treatments. Is just a strategy, right? So making sure that we have our insurance protections in place, because the wealthy, they know that by having insurances, see, the middle class views all that stuff as just another bill. We don't want another bill. Let's just scrimp on insurance. The wealthy know that anytime they're insured for, their possessions, their belongings, their assets, their business, different situations that can come up, and they know that for pennies on the dollar, they're covered. That adds a level of certainty, confidence, knowingness to your situation. So let me take this for example. If you ever had a situation where maybe you couldn't afford a type of insurance, and there maybe in the back of your mind, if something happened, I wouldn't be able to afford that. And you actually think about that, maybe a few times a week or several times a month. And that subconscious kind of background chatter is adding uncertainty to your life. It's maybe adding an element of fear to your life. And just what is the effect on your health for that long term? What is the effect on your motivation, your mood, how well you sleep at night, right? There can be a lot of factors that, it seems insignificant, but if you can have absolute certainty on where you're at financially and your coverages are in place for the worst case scenario, then you can just have a much cleaner vibration that's going to help you with your goals, because you're not putting out counter intentions and fear around something that you don't want to happen. It can be very, what we call the particle flow. There's very focused intention on what you do want that will help you create those types of situations in your life towards what you want. So insurance really has an energetic aspect to it, right? It's not just a bunch of policies and a bunch of premiums that you got to pay. There's actual elements that can add to how you're creating wealth in your life and how you're showing up in your life to serve other people. And then the last thing here on building your foundation is, once you have an emergency fund, we want to continue to expand that so that you have an opportunity fund, because we don't want to just be preparing for bad things and annoying things that show up in our life. We want to be preparing for opportunities that can show up in our life. And we want to have an opportunity fund so that when there's a good deal on a vehicle, there's a good deal on equipment, you can hire a coach and get that deal after that webinar and get 55% off. You've got money to pounce. Maybe you've got a real estate deal that's a great, great buy. You can make money on the buy. And you've got the capital in an opportunity fund to plop down on it. Those are great strategies. So having an opportunity fund can set yourself up for, alternative investments, just getting a good deal on things, so that we can begin to build towards step 6. And this is the last step on our roadmap, it's financial independence, right? So once you've got the opportunity fund, you can start funneling opportunity fund money over to maybe different types of investments. This might be cryptocurrency, it might be foreign exchange, it might be algorithmic bot trading, could be learning to trade yourself in the foreign exchange markets or indices, which can be a very lucrative thing. It can be a very, very valuable skill set to learn. It could be in your business, scaling your business, hiring great employees, going to trainings, learning marketing, learning better sales and communication. There's a lot of things that you can invest in. It isn't always an asset. Sometimes it's investing in yourself, your knowledge, your skill sets that can make a huge leap that can actually significantly be greater than a rate of return inside of a mutual fund or a hedge fund or something like this. That if I go and make connections at a networking event, or I learn sales or learn better marketing and better funnels, that sometimes you can 2 or 3x your business depending on the situation, and that's going to far outdo putting 100 grand in some investment and hoping for 10-20% return per year, right? So that's the idea, is getting money working for you, because financial independence is all about no longer trading your time for money directly. It's about creating capital through trading time for money. And then once you have capital, not needing so much capital because we've freed up a lot of that through debt optimization, through efficiency. And now that capital can go to work. And it might be a small percentage in the beginning, but it's to grow over time to where more and more money is working for you. Maybe it's rent payments off real estate. Maybe it's investment money that you're getting, whatever it is. And that money can start to go towards your living and lifestyle. It can go to start paying for your children's education. It can go towards, guaranteed retirement income, maybe through just different annuities or cash value life insurance that is great guaranteed income streams in retirement. And doing those things is going to build you towards financial freedom. And then really thinking even longer term than that is, once we have a lot of extra cash flow, we can be adequately covered. This is kind of an insurance piece from the last Build Your Foundation, but it's more kind of end of life preparation where you're talking long-term care. We live right now in a world where, yes, we're living longer, but our quality of life is lower. You walk into a nursing home right now, half the people in there are basically a vegetable. Yes, they're alive, but they're not living. And that type of care can be very, very expensive. And so we have a responsibility as people to not rely on the government to take care of us, or which is really the rest of us, right, are paying for it. But it's so that you are empowered to take care of your own care when you get older and be able to choose what your insurance would maybe direct you away from because they don't cover it. You can go pick better care. And quite honestly, my dad would still be here right now if he had better care and we weren't dictated by insurance. So this is a powerful piece that I'm even more passionate about right now because I just lived it 2 weeks ago and I lost my dad. So this is an important piece to make sure you're covering that. And like I said, I already mentioned in establishing your goals, thinking about your legacy. But as we get into financial independence stage here in this last step of the roadmap, it's really about planning for your legacy. So making sure you have estate planning. And if you have a business, what are you going to do with that business once you're gone? Do you have life insurance maybe on, if you have a joint partnership in a business, do each of you have life insurance on each other to make sure that if one of you passes away, there's an influx, the death benefit is going to cover the expense of finding a replacement, or maybe it's buying out that partner so that you control all the business. And even tax planning at that level, there's some higher level stuff that comes into play with that. So that is the financial roadmap of knowing the score, establishing those goals, having your debt optimized, looking for efficiencies, building that strong foundation, and then creating financial independence. And this is the steps. So if you have any questions on this, leave them in the comments below. If you found value in this, please like this video. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and you've hit the notification bell. And please share this video with some family, friends, coworkers that might need to hear this type of a situation and a roadmap around how do we handle our finances? Where do we start? What's important? What's not? What order we do them in? That's going to give me a duplicatable, predictable result with our money. So thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video. Take care.